what did that journey look like for you? So how did was it debating? What would you say is the best way of you finding knowledge or getting knowledge? Is it through speaking to people? Are you a reader? Are you a watcher? Would you say, yeah?
It's multiple things for me. I'm not a bookworm. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I've read countless of books. I'm not a bookworm, but I do read
Right.
what I do find interesting on certain topics. Like, it's like
Right.
I'll pick it up, I'll pick a book, something like that, to make sure that I further my knowledge. I'm more of a visual, so when things are explained to me visually, like, it's instead of like eloquent words all the time, like, it's a better way for me to understand. So I'll watch more like documentaries and online classes and stuff like that, because it's that's how I obtain my knowledge, like, a little bit better. But also through experience and talking to people, through failure. Like, I used to beat myself down for failure. It's like, no, it's crazy.
Yeah.
How am I that bad at this, or whatever. But it's later on that I found out, like, all these failures led me to where I am now. And it's like, kind of to give you a positive light of whatever my past. Like, after the whole journey thing, I came back. I was like, all right, what am I looking for? What I want to do? What are the things I'm seeking? Because if I am seeking the comfort, it needs to be more than just comfort. It can't be redundant. So for me, it was just like, okay, I'm gonna work the corporate ladder. I'm gonna work, like, retail job. So what I'm doing, I'm growing as a manager. I'm a manager now, so I have, like, I'm making enough to sustain my life and probably sustain more in my life. But it was, for me, that was not the goal. That was just a tool I needed to have. And my goal is the conversation, the podcast, what I want to kind of, like, grow into. It's
Yeah.
because that's where I feel like my questioning mind and passion gets satiated.
I
It's
hear
like,
that.
kind of
I hear
like
that
talking.
loud and clear.
Yeah, it's like talking to you, talking to people, like not advocating that being on Instagram is good, but when you're working on Instagram, like, through your niche, to other people, and then communicating with other people, using the social media tool, as a work tool, it's
Yeah.
you get so much more information that you would not get if you were just using it as, like, this is my picture, like, type of deal.
No, I hear
It's
you.
like the people I've met. And what I don't know when you started. I started my page. My podcast started since late February, March, but I started my page a week and a half ago. And it's like the people I've been meeting, the
Wow.
connection I've been doing. I was in a meetup thing, which I feel like you probably should do the next one too with us. It's a meetup conversation with a bunch of podcasts in the UK. For some reason, by the way,
Right.
the UK has too many podcasts. I don't know what you guys are doing over there.
No, there are a lot. There are a lot. I think, yeah, it's a
Is it
melting
like a
pot.
winter
What did you call
thing?
it?
Everybody's bunkered down and you guys are just, like, recording, or like,
No, I think to be fair, I think a lot of people. I think it might be the same everywhere in the world, but especially with all that's going on now with the Corona thing, the COVID thing, everybody's kind of forced to, like we were just kind of talking about, look inwardly and think about what do you want to do, how, and on top of that, you're also starved of physical interaction or interpersonal interaction.
yes.
So I think that's a big catalyst as well for people to kind of want to connect with people.
Yeah.
Um, but to be fair, like kind of similar to you, this, I started my podcast, I think, either last week of February or the first week of March.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
So it is very like a similar amount of time, and I'm kind of like you in the sense that I don't know, you didn't even say that. I don't even know why I said similar to you, but very new to that, the social media
Yeah.
kind of avenue. Yeah, I've just used social media kind of for what
For
I learned
likes.
it was for. I
Yeah.
just want to show people stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
likes.
yeah, just to show people, like, or maybe just to save a video that I like, or save a picture that I've taken,
Yeah.
or just show people like, oh, this is what I was doing. But I wasn't really focused necessarily on the likes too much. But it
Yeah.
was just a place for me to show people. Maybe a show off space.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
the
is.
likes
It
was an added
is. It is.
bonus, if
I
that
mean,
makes
that's kind of
sense.
what I
You
mean by
know?
the likes. It's not so much like, but
Yeah.
it's to show off. To hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm about. When
Yes.
it's not really what you're about, but that's what I'm about. Like,
Yeah. No, I do hear you. I think no, but there are. Yeah, you was saying that you was in a meetup with people from some UK podcasts.
yeah, I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just pretty interesting. We're getting a
Yeah,
couple,
yeah,
things how we should approach our business, what we need to do in order to grow. It's a very important tool. So I'll share you the link afterwards. But it's just to show like how that community itself. Because I've been to a couple communities. I'm in the gaming community too. I'm in the business community. It's like a
yeah.
sharks. It's a
Perfect.
multiple like people
Okay.
trying to compete with
Mm-hmm.
each other versus like this is a community I feel, it's more like a partnership, like a hey, let me grow you so you can grow me type of deal.
Is there even a positive or negative, or is it just perception?
To me, to what I've and of course I can be reading, watching, understanding many type of people talking about many different points, but at the end of the day I have to make my own mind about it, and to me
Mm-hmm.
it's an even exchange of energy at the end of the day. Uh I don't think there's even good or bad, in the world. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just energy. It's a perception.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a hard one. It's a hard one for
It
me because
is.
in
It
my
is.
what's the word? My spirit, for want of a better, my spirit wants my spirit just wants to agree with that, and just because it makes sense and it feels good. But then I always get brought back to those things that are really heinous and really disgraceful and really
Exactly.
unforgivable. And then you think, how is that not just how are there not some universal wrongs? Some things that
So
are just universally wrong.
so we could pick two examples. We could pick a very fictional, a very Buddhist example, and be like, if you water a plant too much, you can kill it. It's a
Yeah.
good act. It's a good act of watering, feeding a plant, but then
Hmm.
you can give it too much water and kill it. Or we could go very relatable right now and say that we have a pandemic going, but
Hmm.
all the animals and all nature in the world is like growing and blooming.
Facts.
There's freaking
Facts.
dolphins in Venice. Birds are flying everywhere now. It's just
Hmm.
it's crazy. It's like it's not at the end it's we struggle with the fact that like, oh, there has to be a good or there has to be an evil, but you realize at the end of the day how many things daily you think you do that are good, that are
Hmm.
in good nature. How many times, and no matter how religious you are, do you think you're being Christ-like or Muhammad-like or
Hmm.
Buddha-like? How many
Hmm.
times do you think in your daily actions you're being like this? And we're not. We're flawed creatures with a father complex. We don't know.
That's deep.
We don't know. We don't know who her dad is. We heard some man with white hair tell us her dad is somebody, but we don't really know. We haven't spoken to him yet.
Yeah.
It's just, and at the end of the day, it's that how can we even base a whole morality in the universe or morality in anything if
Hmm.
we don't even know that, you know? There's somebody I used to talk to a friend and he used to tell me, you know what? If Hitler succeeded, there'd probably be no racism in the world. Very crazy
It's,
mindset to think, but if you just had everybody the same, why would you? Of course, you'd have other conflict. Of course, you would have other conflict, but it's like it's the
mhm.
that term there. It's like, what a perspective to see. Now, I'm not for genocide or anything. That's not what I'm saying. Uh, but but it gives you that mindset about perspective. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
perspective to somebody that's loaded with money or rich is like, a Lamborghini is pocket money. But then you give like a Nissan Altima to somebody that doesn't own a car and it's like luxurious.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's perspective.
Mm.
It's tricky.
Yeah, it's a hard one because those examples that you gave, yes, I agree, those make sense. But then you look, because it's like, but I feel like that's why I say my spirit tells me that that perspective is right. And then I think straight to the darkest of dark, which is like
Please go
the
ahead. Let's
so
dive there.
I'm thinking like, all right, cool. So let's look at somebody being raped or a child being abused or
Yeah.
one of these kinds of things. And then you look at it and you say, like, I could look at it and say, all right, um, okay, in the moment those things are bad, and then maybe the growth that that person then gains from
Gains.
that
Yeah.
situation, and they could then change the world and help X amount of people in the future. Just making a scenario up, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at,
Yeah.
right? But then it comes down to the next question for me is always, does the end justify the means?
Oh, I
Um,
struggle with that one. I struggle
you
with that one.
know?
I struggle with it.
Yeah,
I because I think it becomes a thing of spirit versus mind. Mind is like hell yeah, purpose just
all right.
the end
Well, that's
justifies
it.
the mean. Of course, that's the logic mind. If I have to, eradicate 100 people to save 1 million, why is that even a thought process? Like that should be where we need to go. But
Mm-hmm,
spirit is like save everybody you can, like
mm-hmm.
don't sacrifice a life for another. So it's like it is perspective. It is something that I don't think we have the tools to even answer really,
That's
because
deep. That's deep.
it's like we don't even understand our own beginnings. We don't even understand us. So
Mm-hmm.
why can we even understand the ending part, like the nature says the end justifies the mean. Nature does. Nature doesn't
Mm.
care. Nature doesn't have feelings like that. The nature says the end justified the means. Nature, a forest fire can be created out of nothing, and then it breeds a whole new forest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, you know about cow manure. Cow manure is cow shit, but it grows. It grows
Yeah.
plant. We use it everywhere to grow other life. So it's nature doesn't
Mm-hmm.
care that process. Nature is about the end justifying the means.
Mm.
So
But then also as well, you have I don't even to be fair, I only know this fact just purely because of a meme that I saw on social media. So if it's
please.
not true,
Memes, it's the
laugh and
culture
point at
we're
me.
in. We're like, it's the meme culture. What are you
But I
talking
saw
about? That's how we get information. Go ahead.
right, but there's a meme that I saw with it's talking about like a wolf pack, right?
Yeah.
And it's got like a big line. It's like a aerial shot of like a wolf pack, and there's a line of wolves, and it says like the weakest and the oldest are placed at the front, so the pack all moves at the same speed as the weakest parts of the pack. The the pack leader is at the back with to protect the rear with its three strongest what's it called, whatever generals or whatever,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and then it's got and the more powerful, the next powerful are behind the older ones. You know, like so, the system is built to protect the weak, and it's not to never to leave, and that's that to never to leave the weak behind.
The we
You know,
behind. Yeah, yeah,
so it is. I feel like it's human nature. We pick, we pick information that fits our narrative.
yeah,
You know, so I think like I've always held on to this fact that I know of just African warfare that I was taught when I was younger about the fact that as Africans our way of even when it's intertribal war was always to once you've defeated the enemy you surround the enemy on three sides and give them their route to retreat if they so choose, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I feel like that is something that is very speaks to my spirit. Like I haven't always been the epitome of that, but that's what I aspire to be. So it's very difficult for me to then don't know what the word is, but just kind of prescribe to the mind state of, ends justifying the means, to bring it full circle back to that. It's difficult for me to be comfortable sitting in that place,
The end justifying the means. Yeah, no, it is difficult. I mean, if you're human at all, it should be a
Mm,
difficult process. If you have
mhm,
emotions, it should be a difficult process.
mm,
Um, I don't deny that at all. I think that Wolfpack analogy is a very great analogy. Too bad we don't respect that analogy as humans.
yeah, yeah.
Too bad, like, cause we definitely leave the weak behind. We definitely put the weak, like, we don't put the weak in the forefront. You're not gonna come in. You're not. If I'm visiting your country right now, if I'm visiting anywhere you live right now, you're not gonna go to the slums with me first. You're gonna show me the nice things. You're gonna show
Mm,
me, what makes your country prosper, what makes your country great.
mm,
And then
mhm.
if I happen to go by the ghetto, by the projects, that's when I see it. But
Mhm.
but it's funny. It's like the same thing about love. It's like we fall in love with concepts and ideas. We have as a species, that's what we're at. Like we love ideas. We have the ideal human being, the ideal humankind, the ideal
Mhm.
love. But do we really respect it? Do we really go, and actually open up to that? That's like the deep question.
That's
So on that topic, would you
yeah.
say that would you say life is meaningless or life has meaning, or do you have to give your life meaning, or is it all the same?
Um. Right. I think. Right. What did I? uh, So yes, I do believe life has a meaning. I believe everybody's life has a meaning. Where I didn't kind of think was maybe do the do we give our life the meaning, or is the meaning
Given to us.
uh, external to us? Yeah. No, I think we do give us. I think we give. Mm, Let me not just speak quickly. All right. I think I think we do give our life meaning. That's what I'm gonna stand on. That's my position.
Okay.
I think we
That's
give our life meaning. I think we kind of we fill the suitcase of our life with experiences that direct us to where our destination is.
all right. So you're definitely not a religious person, I can tell, because you because you would have told me otherwise. But yeah, no, that's kind of my standpoint on it too. And again, to kind of reiterate to everybody listening, I don't think we are saying that's the only way. But for me, that's what it is. It's like I don't think we're all born with an inherent purpose or inherent meaning. You know, the Earth is like 4 billion years old. The universe so far, apparently, according to scientists, is like 14 billion years old. There's no way that our existence that has been there for 500,000 years has any meaning. As a group of human, like I don't think like we're that much different from a bacteria, the bacteria that we have in our guts and in our intestine that help us, digest or anything. I don't think like we're more than that. But at the same that said, that still gives the bacteria a meaning, a purpose. Um,
All
I
right.
I think it's up to us to find any kind of meaning on anything, and then I guess for some people it does work to just believe in a higher power and believe that everything is
Mm-hmm,
out for you. But to
mm-hmm,
most of us, especially in this day and age, I don't think it is. I think we need to. I think we need to face that the absurdity that everything is meaningless, because by doing so, it gives you freedom. It gives you some kind of a liberation. Like if it's like the example that my friends and I always kind of bounce off. It's like if you were to die tomorrow, what would you do? And then you hear that answer that people give is things that they wouldn't do in their regular life that they wish they could do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
if you were to die tomorrow, what would you do? And then you give me all these lists of like awesome achievements that you want to accomplish before you die. And it's like, okay, why were you not living these when you didn't? When you're not gonna go and pass away. It's just something we're not facing enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's that absurdity that we're all gonna die, and it's everything's meaningless. So if that is so, then you have the freedom to do whatever, because that means there's no law or divine law to challenge you, to tell you this is right, this is not right, and then go back to what we were saying about like there's no such thing as good and evil. It's almost like and I'm gonna leap here. I'm gonna leap to a different branch, but I'll bring it back. If
Yeah.
you if you look at
I do wanna touch on this one myself.
no problem.
So yeah, when you come back,
So it's like when we take, for example, how we see a map of the earth right now, right? If you go a map, and I don't know how it is in England, so I won't speak for England, but for America, it's like whenever you see a map of the world, America is like in the
yeah,
forefront,
yeah,
right? And you have Europe a little bit
right.
up the north, and for some reason, America and Europe are bigger than Africa, South America, Australia,
Mm-hmm.
when we
Which
very
is
well know
factually inaccurate.
completely inaccurate. And another thing
Yeah.
is because since these countries are the countries in power, it also shows a predominantly white countries that are on top of black countries. So imagine a baby, imagine your kid growing up, and then the first thing they see is a map, and the map of the world is saying, yeah, the whites are above,
Mm-hmm.
always. It's almost like predetermined that it's saying this to kids. So you have this, and then when you look and you step back out of, outside, classrooms, world, whatever, and then you're looking out of space, there's no such thing as north, south, or east or west. There's no such thing. There's just no
Mm-hmm.
direction like that. These measurements were made by us to be able to measure distance and latitudes and longitude. But there's no such thing in the universe. So the map could be upside down. It doesn't mean a thing to the to only us.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
to kind
yeah.
of bring it back is to say that, these all these meanings that we give around us, all these labels, these measurements that we give around us to kind of measure and distinguish things from another are 100% meaningless in the grand scale of things. So why should there be any law or any law to the universe or law to anything or divine law if outside of our belief there's nothing that states otherwise?
That's interesting. Very interesting. I agree. I agree to a point.
Yeah.
I think that I think where I would have questions is you see this idea of there is no universal law. There is. I don't know if I would use the word divine, but that whatever the connotations that come with the word divine, that doesn't include some man looking down from a cloud somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whatever I could attribute that word to that isn't that. This all this the best way I can say it is a universal law. This idea of cause and effect. This idea
Yes.
of
Yes.
um,
Yes.
that's scientifically proven as well. Of
Yeah.
every reaction having a reaction, and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these things that are interconnected, and it's almost like if there are rules, like nature to me has rules.
Yeah.
There are, and we are probably the professionals at stepping outside of the rules, right? But in order for there to be rules, it might. This is something that I thought about just literally before we started today, and I was going and thinking about the subjects that we're going to talk. And if there are rules, then does that not mean that there has to be a ruler? Just as a question. But in order for there to be some to I'm going to say somebody, but I mean there has to be either an architect of the rule or a purpose for the rule. So if like as I say, I don't subscribe to the person, a person sitting on high, pulling strings like a puppet master. That's not, and watching bad things happen and playing one bad thing off a good thing and making those decisions and all. I'm not subscribing to that. I do think that nature has a need for balance. In order for there to be, in order for our existence to be completely insignificant and hold no purpose and hold no nothing, for me, there would have to be no benefit to adhering to any rules. If there are no rules, there'll be no benefit to adherence, is what I'm trying to get around to saying, I think.
Well,
I don't
okay,
know if that
so
made any sense to you. It
no,
sounded like I was talking in circles.
that made sense. I was letting you finish. Because they no, totally. But I think there's a distinction between functional rules and rules to abide by or rules to live by. So functional rules would be um gears in a clock. Like I have to put a certain amount of gears in a clock to make it function so that the clock can turn a certain way. These are functional
Uh-huh.
rules in a way. But
Mm-hmm.
then you're talking about uh, more in the purpose scales. Like, is there rules to purpose? Is there for example, you take the planet a couple inches, a couple meters off its trajectory, and
Mm-hmm.
in the next 2 seasons or the next 2 years, we could go into like an ice age, or we could go to dryness completely. Just
Mm-hmm.
because it's off by like a couple of meters from where it's spinning around the sun, because the sun
Right.
from far away is growing life. It's a sustaining life. It's the thing that we need. One of the things that we need the most. But then you get too close to it and you get burned down. So it's like there was this, it's like what's there's no there's not the it's like you said, the balance is there. There's a certain balance, but
Mm-hmm.
there's not necessarily rules to abide by. There's function rules, but there's not necessarily rules to abide by, because I think it's kind of like where you were going. I don't believe in a ruler that rules, or
Mm-hmm.
whoever made us or created us. We could have been a generation of humans that were made to mine and farm for an extraterrestrial being, and then after they were done using us, they just left us here. And then
Yeah.
we we could have easily been that. We could have easily been they came in, they realized, hey, Earth has a bunch of resources that we need. Let's farm these monkeys, and added a couple of their genes, and then created humans, and now humans had to find some whole purpose and meaning and everything to their life with.
But this is kind of where I was gonna go before, where it's like, yes, I don't necessarily believe in this person in the clouds, but I
Yeah,
also don't know.
me
I
neither.
I don't have a definite answer for whether there is a higher power, whether the higher power and nature are linked, whether there is some sort of what's the word? Whether there is some similarity between, or there's some um, reasoning behind why nature is characterized as female, and I don't know, the sun is characterized, even though the sun is part of nature, but whether there is
The father would be father time,
these,
mother nature and
whether
father
it
time.
is, yeah, there we go, thank you.
Yeah.
So, right, so whether that is just us as humans, like you say, trying to create meaning where there is none, or whether there is some reasoning behind that. Because I do think when you were just saying earlier that there is functional rules and there are I can't remember what the other word you use, but rules to follow. I
Yeah.
think I think functional rules are rules to follow, and I feel like even functional rules are part of a system.
Yeah.
Whether it's an ecosystem, whether it's a computer system, whatever the system is, there are reasons for it to exist. And I feel like our problem, in my humble opinion, is that we don't feel like we are part of the system. We feel like we're above the system, or we feel like the system operates outside of us. And that's why I prescribe more to the holistic view of us all. When I say us, I'm talking everything from the dog, the cat, the tree, the plant, the water, everything, the sun, everything being part of this huge system. And yes, we have been here for less time than lots of other things, but we are still part of the system. Just like now, this coronavirus is now part of the system. It is something that influences and impacts on how everything operates. Like you said, it's interesting how, yeah, to us it's a negative thing, but to the animals and the plants and the environment, it's probably the best thing that's happened to them in the last
Yeah.
100 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So, see, okay, so then there's many systems. You're talking about a natural system as in like our role in nature, uh, versus a society system. But no, I do agree. I do agree with that. Definitely. This kind of
They
nature
think that we
system
make
that
the
we're not
basic.
part
Oh,
of.
sorry, go on.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
sorry,
I
go
was just saying this nature system that we're not part of reminds me of the movie Avatar.
on. Yeah, yeah,
That should
I
be
love that
podcast.
film as well. To be fair,
I should, right?
that's a good film. Another one of the classics. But
No.
do you think the societal rules are we don't think that we separate the societal rules from the natural rules? So when we talk about murder, or let's say, when I think of societal rules, I think about laws. So don't do this, don't do that. Um, we separate those things from being part of the environmental law. Do you think it is separate?
I think societal rules are based on money. I don't think societal rules are based on nature. Because I mean, our current generation of humans is just like based on how can we prosper and grow without worrying about nature, without worrying about things around us. We don't really care about the animals or anything like that. So we just build around and keep pros prospering, thinking that we're almighty in the center of the universe. So I think these societal rules are not the it, it, even if they're not 100% bad, they should not be concrete. Like they should not be written in stone. Like societal rules
Hmm.
should be rules that are constantly evolving. Like according
I
to
can
generation,
definitely
according
hear
to
that.
like things that we do. But if we're talking about like basic law of the universe, about how certain things happen to create certain chemistries, and certain things happen to create other things, that's yeah, those are kind of finite and kind of determined. Definitely agree with that.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.